Good evening, everyone. I welcome everyone in the gallery tonight for this general meeting of Council, and welcome to the councillors as well. I need to advise that it is the Council policy to record the proceedings of meetings of Council on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussion of meetings is available. This audio recording is authorised by the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015. I now declare the meeting open at 6:01. Firstly, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Tomagina people, and to pay our respect to those that have passed before us, their history and their culture. Item 1 is a record of attendance. We still have leave of absence for Deputy Mayor Celisa Edwards. Item 2 is confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, and any corrections to the minutes are to be identified and agreed at this point prior to taking a vote to adopt the minutes. Could I have a mover for this particular motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Could I have a seconder?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any corrections, as I have asked a minute ago? No corrections. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from the councillors or staff this evening? Nothing, so we shall move on to item 4, announcements, councillors' announcements and report. Announcements by the Mayor. During the recent, National Volunteer Week. During the recent National Volunteer Week in May, the Waratah Wynyard Council facilitated a morning tea to recognise and celebrate the power of our volunteers with Waratah Wynyard Council. We have approximately 85 volunteers who have continued to give so much time, energy, enthusiasm, commitment and skills to Wonders of Wynyard, Wynyard Land Care, SEEP, Sustainability and Environmental Advisory Panel, Wildcare, Sisters Beach Wildcare, Public Art Advisory Group, Waratah Wynyard Youth Leadership Group, Tulip Festivals, Boat Harbour Beach Working Group and the Wynyard Sporting Precinct. Volunteering is a fulfilling way to give back to our community. In fact, volunteers are the change makers and lifeblood of our community, and I congratulate all volunteers as it is their contribution and dedication that connects and strengthens our local communities. I would also like to talk about ex-councillor Mr. Francis Ransley, OAM. On behalf of the Waratah Wynyard Council, I wish to acknowledge the passing of former councillor Francis Ransley, OAM. Francis served 2 terms on the Waratah Wynyard Council from 1994 to 2000 and from 2002 to 2012. Francis was a councillor of very high integrity with very strong views about the future of Wynyard. His genuine generosity in establishing the veteran car collection housed at the Wonders of Wynyard is a testament to his vision, his indomitable spirit and his love for Wynyard. I express our condolences to his wife Elaine and family at this sad time. Vale Francis Ransley. And I'd like everyone to note that there is a condolence book at the Wonders of Wynyard if anyone would like to make comment and pass on their condolences to the Ransley family. I also have in my report tonight a letter from the Department of Premier and Cabinet, and I will read that letter out, and I'm going to state that there will be no discussion at this time or any time during the meeting about this letter. Dear Mayor, I had cause to review the recording of the May 2023 meeting of the Waratah Wynyard Council. I note with some concern that a point of order was raised with regard to a statement made by a councillor that was likely to be offensive to another individual. While the issue was dealt with, some claims were made that, if left unaddressed, could leave people with an incorrect impression of past events. Firstly, I strongly support robust whistleblower protections as a critical foundation for transparency, accountability and good governance. I congratulate the Council for their ongoing work in this context. It is also important that members of the public are provided with accurate and objective information as part of this public debate on issues being considered by Council. This is particularly important where councillors choose to reflect on the actions of others. During the debate on the Stage 2 report of the Future of Local Government Review, a councillor claimed that one of the board members was the same general manager that I personally reported for breaching legislation for creating a toxic environment. The councillor also claimed that this was a statement of fact on the public record. What was not included in the statement was that these concerns were fully investigated by the Ombudsman, who found that nothing in the material provided or information obtained through interview suggests any impropriety by the former General Manager. In fact, the material reveals that the former General Manager was cognizant of the need for due process and transparency. I therefore find these particular allegations to be unsubstantiated and accordingly make no recommendations. Contrary to the claims that this information was a statement of fact on the public record, the Ombudsman advised both the complainant and the respondent that it was not his intention to make the report public. Tasmania has a number of institutions dedicated to investigating and, if necessary, intervening to address inappropriate behaviour of public officials. The Public Interest Disclosure Act 2002 outlines these institutions that can receive a public interest disclosure with appropriate protection afforded to the person making the disclosure. It is important that issues of concern are dealt with through these formal processes. Given the public nature of the concerns that were previously raised, I request that you table and read this correspondence at the next open meeting of the Waratah Wynyard Council. Yours sincerely, Matthew Healy, Director of Local Government. I now move on to the Mayor's communications and the recommendation that the Council note the Mayor's communications. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Could I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Are there any queries about my communications or diary at this point? Thank you, Councillor Courtney.
Just wondering why I can't respond to that when it's not the report that was being referred to in the discussion.
It is not listed on the agenda. It is a letter that we have received, and if you wish to have this dealt with, it can be brought up at a later meeting. Thank you. Are there any further queries on my Mayor's communications, please? Okay, if there are no queries or comments, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Reports by delegates nil have been received. We move on to notification of council workshops. There is a recommendation there that the council note the following workshops. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Johnson, seconded. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. We now move on to public questions and statements. Item 5, the responses to public questions taken on notice from the previous meeting. There is a question from Mr. Hutchison, Independent Review, with an officer's response. A question from Mrs. Shegog, is that right? Yeah, thank you. Cat management with an officer's response, and a second question, mandatory cat registration with an officer's response. 5.2, public questions received in writing. We have received 21 questions from Mr. Hutchison, and the officer's response notes the questions as listed, and they will be taken on notice and provided to Mr. Hutchison when complete. We're moving on to now the public questions without notice and public statements. We have not received any statements in writing, and I need to read out this statement before any questions, public questions or statements come from the floor. The Council encourages community participation in its meetings through the opportunity for public questions and statements. Consistent with Council's core values, councillors and staff strive to ensure all people are treated with respect and integrity. We expect our residents and ratepayers to apply similar standards in their dealings with Council. As Mayor, it is my responsibility to maintain the orderly conduct of Council meetings and to determine whether a question or statement is out of order due to the use of offensive, objectionable or defamatory expressions. I remind everyone that Council's new Council meeting procedures were adopted at the March Council meeting. In particular, it should be noted that a maximum of 3 questions may be asked per person. Any parts to questions are considered questions, or questions to be asked before a response is provided. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person to ask those questions. Once a question is answered, there is to be no debate on that question. Public statements are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person. There is to be no questions or discussions related to a statement. I ask members of the public to show proper consideration and courtesy in their comments. Mr. Ewington, would you like to come forward? You have a statement and 2 questions.
Good evening all. Can you hear me all right? Very good. My statement will be non-installation of tactile pavers for the blind and impaired vision by the Waratah Wynyard Council, preventing access and inclusion for disability members to the community. By historical means, I found out the first lot of tactile pavers the council has installed is 1980, which was in Goldie Street, Wynyard, a major development for the blind and disabled impaired vision members. But since 43 years later, there has not been any significant installation of tactile pavers. I would like to relate to the IGA latest construction at car park at West Wynyard, whereby a few hundred metres away there is a member of the community, a young member of the community who is impaired vision and unable to be blind, and he had already approached council one stage. There is no tactile pavers being installed across the car park, only a painted line. Bearing in mind, blind people don't see painted lines. So what I'm asking there, where are they? The disabled parking entry point to their complex, there's no tactile pavers. Now, I'd like to come down to the council chambers. What a wonderful structure. It's here available for all members of the community, disabled, able-bodied, and blind and impaired vision, to have safe access to the complex. At this stage, no tactile pavers. I'd like to go further down the main street of Wynyard. There's several crossings which are supposedly for pedestrians to have safe access across the walkway, and there's missing tactile pavers. Then I go down to the wharf. There's no tactile pavers along the walkways, which is designed for all members of the community to be part of. I'd like to go to the Wynyard Yacht Club, which is a club which is being built for the community, for all members of the community, including the disabled and the blind members of the community, to have safe access to that complex, which do not have any tactile pavers installed, which is also designed for disabled members of the community to be able to partake in sport of yacht sailing. I would like to go further on to the community playgroup centre being built recently. The entry point to that, no tactile pavers being installed, which is a concerning matter. Also, there's a walkway being constructed not many years ago along the foreshore, which is designed for people with fitness in mind to go walk along there and not use the instruments for fitness training. No tactile pavers there. I would like to take attention to Bruce's cafeteria at East Wynyard. There's been major alterations to the footpath and parking facilities there, which there is no tactile pavers there suitable for the blind or impaired people. I'd like to now go to Esplanade in Somerset. Sorry, I thought you'd be amalgamated with Burnie for a minute, but anyway, we'll move on. There is parking facilities there for members to partake in the fully disabled disability playgroup area. And there's no, as far as I can see, there's no tactile pavers installed there, which is a region complex designed for people, all people, disabled, able-bodied and impaired and blind members of the community to have safe access and be involved. Also like to go to Rag Street, which is a place where many elderly people and other people attend that small town and do safe shopping. They have not really official walk crossings there, but there's no tactile pavers there for the blind or impaired vision. So I like to, these are some of the main points that I'd like to bring to your attention. That it's been 43 years since the last installation of a tactile paver for the blind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ewington. Now you have some questions.
Question 1, in relation to installation of tactile pavers for the blind and impaired vision. Why is the council not installing pavers for the most vulnerable members of the community, now in the 43 years since the last major installation of tiles? Question 2, in relation to the section of broken pavement west of IGA car park entrance. The broken section of pavement has been broken for several months now, preventing safe entry of disability members have safe entry to the town centre. Please indicate why this area could not be filled with gravel and packed and a covering of bitumen on this path be installed until the work can be completed on the optical fibre line at some stage. I feel that this could be done for the benefit of many members of the disability community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ewington. And Director of Infrastructure and Mr. Summers, would you like to respond, please?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Last month we talked about similar that annually Council has a footpath ramp program that does include tactile tiles as part of that. And in fact, in the next financial year, or later this meeting, in fact, there'll be an annual plan and budget for Council to consider. One of the major tasks is to review the roads footpath service level. So there'll be opportunities for Council to ensure that its practice is in keeping with the needs of the community as part of that as well. For the second question, similarly the same question was asked last meeting. I acknowledge Mr Ewington's disappointment that footpath hasn't been reinstated yet. Equally, we expected that to have been done by now. Given that we had a short-term time frame, a temporary option of gravel and sealing wasn't considered. We're still expecting that any day, but that's why a temporary reinstatement hasn't been considered.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. So moving on, Mrs. Shegog, would you like to come forward and ask your questions?
When you turn the light off, you're on.
Thank you. No, fine. I'd like to thank Shane and the council for the reply I got to my question about cat management. While it wasn't the answer I wanted, I do understand that the council has financial constraints. I was particularly interested in the paragraph about the regional cat desexing, inoculation and repatriation initiative, and wondered if I could get some more information on that and whether whether there's a projected timeline for its implementation. I did, but I've just read the minutes and I think it's resolved because I didn't realise that the Bridge Street extension road was going to meet up with the road going down to Irby Boulevard. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It will.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Through you, Mayor. It wasn't initially part of the
No.
application, but council engineer reviewed the application and probably, I guess, agreed with community sentiment with regards to that, and that it would be a better network if it were connected through now. So Bridge Street will be extended through to that subdivision.
Fantastic. Well, I don't need to ask my other questions then. I'm very happy about
Thank you,
that.
Mrs. Sheargold.
I'll respond to
And the General Manager will respond to your first question.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So in relation to the regional cat desexing program, we're a little short on details at the moment. So at the moment, the regional cat management coordinator, if you like, who was auspiced through the Cradle Coast Authority, they're seeking expressions of interest from the councils on the coast to who is be part of that program and who won't. That should be complete by now. So we're expecting sometime very soon some details around the rollout of that program, timeframes, and I believe we have the opportunity to tailor that particular program to each of our areas. So we're waiting to see information as to what choice we have in that regard. So at this point in time, very little detail, other than we have committed to being part of that program, and we're waiting for that information to come through.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Sheargold. Stephanie Crawford, would you like to come forward, please?
Hi everybody, thank you so much for having me. Please excuse my ignorance in separating statements and questions. This is my first time and I won't take up too much. Just really here as a local sports person and an active community member. And I just wanted to discuss the council policy on sporting achievements and grants. I understand there is a grant available for international representation, and I'm interested to know how many residents actually utilise this per year, potentially. And while I actually very much aspire to compete at a world championship level, I'm required to compete at a national level in order to do that. Many sports are self-funded, and with the rising costs of everything, it means competing for our state becomes harder and harder every year. I've been a volunteer in the community through St John, Australia Day Award recipient. I've committed and dedicated the last 20 years to building the local 8-ball community, and in particular promoting and encouraging female representation in a male-dominated sport. There are other councils that do provide assistance for state representatives, and I just wondered why Waratah Wynyard don't.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you for the question and thank you for attending. In response to, I guess there's two parts to that statement or / questions. The first is in terms of how many residents utilise that particular program each year. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'd need to take that on notice and follow that up, and I'm happy to provide some information in writing in response to that question. In relation to the second part of the question, why council don't or why council would limit its support to international. Again, I'm not clear on the origins of that, but I'd suggest to say that it's been a long-standing practice, one that's been in for quite a number of years, and the council have the ability to review and reset that program at any time they so choose. So that is a standing program. As I said, I'm not sure of the origins or intent, but what you're saying is correct. That is the only funding that currently council has available under its policy suite.
Okay. Fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hutchison, you have a statement and 3 questions.
Thank you. Good evening, councillors and staff. My first question, In relation to my questions in writing for this month's agenda, I note that there will be answers provided at a later point. I will ask the Council to please place these responses in next month's meeting agenda. Can Council guarantee this? My second question is, will Council, and I guess it comes out of the Senior Management Report on the Future of Local Government Review, where the Local Government Board has released a series of information packs. So will Council be seeking community views before submitting a response to the Future of Local Government Review, or will it be formulating a view with input only from staff and councillors? And my third question is, in relation to the Future of Local Government Review, Mayor, as spokesperson for the Council, does the Waratah Wynyard Council support state government initiated boundary changes for this municipality and any significant changes to the Waratah Wynyard Council which would effectively end this council?
Thank you, Mr. Hutchison. The GM will now answer those questions you've presented this evening.
Thank you for the questions, Mr. Hutchison. In response to those, to answer your first question, will Council publish the answers to your questions in writing? Yes, that will occur. So you'll receive the responses pre the next meeting, but also the responses will be published in the Council agenda. Will Council be seeking community input into the Future Local Government Review? I guess there's a number of mechanisms in which councillors can receive community feedback. There's community surveys that are open and available at the moment, which Council will promote and encourage community members to complete that. They're facilitated through Legat, but Council will receive the information to assist, receive that report or that information back to assist in its own submission. And equally, there's, I believe, community information sessions that people can attend as well. In addition to that, Council will hold a community conversation sometime in July, and that will be another opportunity to gain some feedback from community members in relation to this subject. Council has until the 2nd of August to produce its submission, so is endeavouring to research as much as possible in order to make that submission. So in relation to your final question, will Council support boundary adjustments or anything else as flagged by the state government? I guess this Council is yet to formulate its final position. It will do so.
My question was for the Mayor, so the Mayor is the spokesperson for the Council. If I could just have a response from you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchison. We are working through this full document, this package that has been presented to us. And your question, does the Waratah Wynyard Council support council boundary adjustments as flagged by the state government? We do need to work through that full document to ensure that every resident in this particular municipality is not disadvantaged by any changes of boundaries. However, we are waiting to see what will be proposed by the committee that was set up by the state government in terms of whatever boundary adjustments they think would fit this area.
Okay. Thank you for those responses. I guess it's a bit concerning that you won't formulate a position to submit before they've actually released the report. So I guess you have to make up your mind as a council where you sort of sit before submitting a submission, if you do so at all. So I guess as a ratepayer and other people that might be curious as to know what this council's position is, when councils like Burnie and other councils the Mayor is quite upfront on their position. It would be nice to know what this council's position is and to see if it has changed from, I guess, the candidates forum last year, when none of the council candidates and everyone here bar Councillor Johnson was at that forum indicated that there was no support for amalgamation. So it would be good to know if councillors can, I guess, keep their word as to that commitment. But I didn't want to talk about that.
Can I just respond to what you
No, this is a statement. Sorry, the question time has ended, but thank you. You can ask a question in writing if you'd like. My statement is in regards to just an acknowledgement of the work that Councillor Edwards has done in her term and a little section in this term. I know that she is on leave at the moment, and I guess today would be a bit of a tough time for her. And I know that Councillor Edwards and myself haven't always agreed on different things, but she has been one to always listen and I guess be a voice that I would consider representative of and actually through. So I just wanted to make a note of her work and her continued input into the community, and yeah, I would appreciate councillors where you think it's appropriate to make a note of that, and yeah, I'm not sure what the future has in store for her moving forward, but whatever her choice is moving forward, I just wanted to say thanks to Councillor Edwards, and yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchison. And I will state that there is a lot of work that needs to be done by this council. We have to work with other councils in determining which is the best way forward, and that will take some time, as well as the... I'm not debating with... I beg your pardon, Mr. Hutchison. I am the chair of this meeting. I am the chair of this meeting. Thank you very much. And you are supposed to show respect. You are supposed to show some respect for the council. We do have to go through a lot of work to get to a point where we will be able to go to the community and state quite categorically what our position is. And we have not arrived at that point just yet, so please understand that we are not just sitting on our thumbs, we are actually working. Beg your pardon, Mr. Hutchison? I don't have to answer that question either, Mr. Hutchison. Would you please desist from making comments all the time? Thank you. That is the end of our public questions and statements without notice. We now move into the Planning Authority 634. Authority items, public questions without notice, nil received, public statements relating to planning matters, nil received. And I need to remind councillors that if you wish to vote against the Planning Officer's recommendations, you must clearly articulate your justification. Scheme 2013 and sections 51 and 57 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993. Item 6.3, before you there is a recommendation. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hyland.
Moved as per the recommendation.
Could I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Hyland, would you like to open the debate, please?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Well, on the surface, it's a pretty good planning application, and it's been pretty well addressed right throughout the document. I think the two outstanding issues that sort of surfaced very early were the connection of Bridge Street and the underground power. I think there was quite a few people that actually hadn't read the document prior to making comments, and the underground power had already been included. Quite a large development, and I think it'll bring a lot of new activity into the Sisters Beach area. There's still quite a little bit of land left there, and I think one of the other major concerns was the actual current lifestyle, if you like to put it, in Sisters, where it's most of the traffic currently adheres to the current speed limit boulevard, and I think there's a bit of a concern that the extra traffic that is going to generate all hit the street at the time, so I think it'll all adjust through, but no, I think all the issues have been addressed, what I can see, and satisfies me, so I'll be supporting.
Speakers against this motion? Speakers to Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor Duniam. I just want to second Councillor Hyland's comments here. This is a great development down at Sisters Beach, and we as a council do understand, we as the planning authority as well, understand the concern about wildlife, but the traffic impact was in relation to this, and it appears to have been resolved. So credit to everyone involved in this. There's 21 lots, and you know, housing in our area is important, and it shows that we continue to be a destination. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney.
As many during the week, mental health worker, so I look at the agenda on the weekend. I couldn't download the attachment to look at the development application. It was a massive attachment. I did ask questions before the meeting about underground electricity and such, because I only understood what was in the agenda because I had such trouble downloading the attachment. I don't want to be a rubber stamp. I want to be able to review all the documents, and I go over it on the weekend. So if I can't download the attachments, that's actually quite a major issue for me. I'm just wondering, when we have big development applications that are contentious, is there any chance that we could bring them to a workshop before they come to a council meeting, so that people like myself that work full time can then not be a rubber stamp and can actually ask questions of our planning officers?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Courtney. I'll rely on the General Manager to respond.
Simple answer, no. We won't workshop planning matters. It's important that you review the documentation in front of you in order to make a decision as a planning authority. Perhaps there are some practices, though, however, to assist with the points that you raise, and perhaps that, or probably perhaps even be more aware when items like this go on advertisements and when they're being advertised. Obviously the documentation is there available for you to have a preliminary look through prior to representations coming in. So there's some ways that you can familiarise yourself with projects prior to decision. But typically we don't workshop planning matters. Yeah. That's correct, and that's for a reason.
Thank you, Mr. GM, and thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers to this motion or against the motion? Councillor Bramage.
Just very briefly, Mayor, look, I would support that motion 100%. As has been said before, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be staged, and I think it's going to be fantastic for the area and give the people an opportunity to have a different sort of lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. As there have been no speakers against the motion, I will put the motion, and I ask for a show of hands for this particular item. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. We'll move on to item 6.4, dwelling extension located at 315 Port Road. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor
As
Hyland.
per the recommendation.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts has seconded the motion. Councillor Hyland, do you wish to open the debate, please?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Just a bit of a dwelling extension. And there was one submission, but it's actually been sorted out with a neighbour to neighbour. discussion, so that sort of cancelled that one out. So, yep, I'll be fully supporting the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. Are there any further speakers against the motion? Councillor Roberts?
Again, I'm just going to piggyback on what Councillor Highland just said, is that this is a pretty simple one as far as DAs go, but the real striking comment Councillor Highland made, neighbours actually resolve this one themselves, and so we're a good community, and quite often you could save a lot of trouble maybe by just having a congenial conversation with your neighbours. So just a comment for that.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If there are no further speakers, I will put the motion. With a show of hands, could you please raise your hands if you support this motion? Councillor Highland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson and Councillor Roberts, and myself. Carried unanimously. That concludes our planning authority time at 6:42. Item 7, matters raised by councillors. 7.1, responses to councillor questions. Nil received. Councillor questions received in writing. 7.3, councillor questions without notice. Are there any questions without notice, please? Councillor Courtney.
3 questions without notice. Obviously, I'm not winning many friends by trying to get transparency and accountability. On our website, it says that we are open and transparent with our community. I just want to ask a question. Our council meetings, are they digital media? Are they classed as digital media?
Through me, I'm not quite sure what you mean by the term digital media, but if the question is, we record the meetings. They are available to watch via links on our website, so they're on YouTube for people to view should they wish. I don't know if that's sufficiently a question, but that's how we operate.
It does, and I think that establishes that our meetings are digital media. At the last meeting, I had several points myself, and it gave me cause to go back and review the local government meeting regulations and see whether they were fit for purpose in today's day and age, and with us moving into digital media. I note that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 19, everyone has the right of freedom of opinion and expression, and this right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive or impart information and ideas through any media, regardless of frontiers. Our point of order in the local government regulations says such, 23(1)(e), that a statement is made by a councillor speaking the councillor raising the point of order believes or is likely to believe may be offensive to a councillor or pretty much anybody. So I don't know that this is fit for purpose when it's in breach of what that Human Rights Charter says. So are we able to go back and look at whether the meeting regulations that we currently have, given that we are a digital media, puts us in breach of the Human Rights Charter? Because I feel like we're not having open and frank conversations if anybody can jump in with a point of order that says, well, I'm offended by that, and somebody else might be offended by that. Because I was offended for being called radical for telling the truth. I don't think this is in line with us being able to have transparency and accountability with open and transparent conversations, and I don't believe that it allows me to have the freedom to hold opinion without interference and to seek, receive and impart information and ideas through our media. So could we please look at that?
Through Mayor, just a couple of points. Well, I guess the concept of parliamentary privilege doesn't apply to local government, so hence there's far more in that regard to what may be seen elsewhere. But the points of order that you speak of that are in the Waratah Wynyard Council meeting procedures are taken from the local government meeting procedures regulations. So they're a direct replica of those. So they would go through the standard statutory process to be adopted. We haven't modified those, I don't believe, in any way. So they are taken from the standard local government meeting procedure regulations.
So that's my final question. These meeting regulations are written by the local government in the past. We are now participating in digital media. So these regulations would put us, I believe, in breach of the Human Rights Act, the Charter. I'm asking for a review.
Mr. GM, if you would like to.
Through me, look, I don't believe a review against the Human Rights Charter is something that we would do at Waratah Wynyard Council, but Local Government Association could give us some assurance, I'm sure, in relation to the validity or otherwise of their of the meeting procedure regulations. Or the Local Government Division, I should have said. Yeah, either body. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. GM. Are there any further questions without notice this evening? Councillor Roberts.
Of course, Mayor Duniam. Just out of interest, a couple of things. One is I just want to say congratulations, Stephanie Crawford, for representing our state. That's a big achievement. So to come from Somerset, to come from Somerset and actually represent your state is a big achievement, and you should be very proud of yourself. And the question I have in regards to that is there any chance that we could perhaps look at the Community Activation Grant Round 2 and perhaps maybe find some funding in that to help Ms Crawford make it to the national championships and represent Somerset as a female and her state of Tasmania?
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Mr. GM, would you like to, or do you have a response for that question, please?
Through you, Mayor, I guess what you're asking us to do, Councillor Roberts, is grant funds outside of council policy. Should you wish for a review of the financial assistance program to be undertaken more broadly, as suggested by Ms Crawford earlier in the meeting, that there are mechanisms in which you can get that on the table to request a review of the program and the policies and so forth. So perhaps that's the way that you'd like to follow, but treating a particular case as an isolated matter then again opens up other precedents and so forth outside that policy position that you need to be aware of.
Right, so that leads to that is question one, and the question is about the Community Grant Activation Round 2. Can she apply to that, and when will that open, and when can those funds perhaps be accessed to support her?
Again, through me, my understanding is the next round of the community financial assistance grants open, I believe, in July. However, under the current policy again, there would be an ineligibility unless it would be international for any funding to be passed on. Yeah.
Right, so question 2 is, can I please motion that we look at our policy in regards to supporting state representative athletes from our municipal region?
So you're foreshadowing a motion, Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, so to respond to that through Mayor would be that you'd put forward a notice of motion at the next meeting to trigger that review. Yeah.
So can we please make a note of that, and I will do that at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further questions without notice? Councillor Courtney.
One more question, because I'm just sitting here thinking. In response to the letter that I'm not allowed to respond to during this meeting, am I allowed to respond to that publicly, given that that letter is public?
Mr. GM, some advice.
Through me, no, there's no, that particular item is not listed on the agenda. This section of the council meeting is for questions on notice, so if there is a specific question, preferably relating to items on the agenda, it would be responded to, but there's no opportunity for statements or commentary or debate on that or any other matter that isn't listed on the agenda.
I didn't mean during the meeting, I meant in general.
Simple as a no. There's no opportunity as per the meeting procedures.
Thank you, Mr. GM. Are there any further questions, please? Councillor Hyland.
Oh, I might have a couple, I reckon.
You've got a couple, okay.
Just on the community conversations, I think I have talked to the GM in regard to this a couple of weeks ago. You did indicate that there'd be one in Wynyard. Are we able to do one in Somerset as well? Do you think? Stretch it that far? And that covers off on both our major population area.
Yeah,
and everyone should be able to get
understood, and that's to get commentary around the future local government process. Yeah. At this point in time, we haven't obviously promoted that session yet. We've had some vacancies in our communication area, as you may well have noticed, but I think the 10th of July was earmarked from memory for the date for that session. So it might be that we could do both on the same day or hold some other session, but we'll look into that. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Thank you. Councillor Hyland, you have a second question?
I have got another one. It's directed to Councillor Courtney. Just a question. I'm just wondering whether you've lost track of what the people in the Wynyard municipality have put you on this council for, to help with local community issues. You seem to be more intent on becoming a qualified whistleblower or a human rights organiser, so I think you need to make up your mind which way you want to go.
Was that a question?
And I have right of response? Yeah, I ran for council on transparency and accountability. The people who voted for me voted for transparency and accountability, and that is what I'm trying to deliver through the actions that I take. I don't not read the agenda. I read every flaming word in the agenda, and that's how I knew that I couldn't read the attachment this weekend. So I couldn't actually do my job, and then complained about the fact that I felt like I couldn't do my job. So I don't take any of our community groups or any of my responsibilities any lighter than anybody else at this table. I have brought this to the attention of councillors because it is quite serious what is going on in the state government with whistleblowers, which affects people in this community and in this council. I am doing what the people that voted for me to do: transparency and accountability. If you don't like it and you think that's radical, then that's a problem that you need to deal with. Councillor Hyland?
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Councillor Hyland, do you have another question?
That poses another question, I'm afraid. You continually talk about accountability and transparency. A couple of pretty big words and pretty important. We've got this issue which is, in my opinion, is dragging this council, or in this room, the councillors, and every council meeting we have. And this is the document that may never see daylight.
Point of order, I'm offended.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. I think I'm going to have to think about this one. You are offended by what was said, Councillor Courtney. Councillor Hyland, is there any other way that you can put your point across in your question, please?
Probably not. I usually go straight to the point, so I'll leave that as it is at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further questions, please? Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, if you would just desist at the moment. Councillor Roberts, your turn.
I just look. I just want acknowledgement that we're here all in good faith. That all of us are here in good faith.
Do you have a question? We're asking questions. This is questions.
I just would like it acknowledged so that we don't continue to just bicker meaninglessly.
Do you have a question? No. Councillor Courtney, do you have another question?
I do have a question. I'd like to know whether what Councillor Hyland mutters can be put on the public record. Tonight, he has referred to Cody Hutchison as a dickhead, sitting right next to me, and he's just said something to me that was completely inappropriate, and his words need to be on the record.
Was that a question, Councillor Courtney? Thank you, Councillor Courtney. I ask all councillors to show respect to each other around this table. It is unbecoming of all of us to put forward comments that are offensive to each other, and we have received them from the gallery as well. I remind all of you that you are here to show respect amongst yourselves and also for your community. There are varying opinions about what we should be doing and what we won't tolerate. I want to move this meeting on. I will take no more questions without notice, and there will be no more statements in relation to these matters that have been raised at this point in the meeting. So I'm moving on to notices of motion. Councillor Raw, you have a motion in front that you have proposed in front of us. Would you like to move that motion, please?
Yes, I'd like to move the motion that the council explore the feasibility, the study of a feasibility study of a sand sculpture family event day that will tie in with exploring and learning about the geological features that are in our immediate area.
Could I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Councillor Courtney seconded the motion. Councillor Raw, would you like to speak to this motion, please?
Yes, look, basically we understand, or we know, that Waratah Wynyard has a really strong community support behind local events that highlight our place and our space and our environment. It's a great place to be. And the Tulip Festival and Spring Loaded are perfect examples of this. They're great events that many people come out to and enjoy. But one feature of our environment is the geology in the surroundings. It's diverse and it's very unique, and evidently it holds a place worldwide. We have done some materials and signage of these features, and it's a quiet focus of our tourism at the moment. So I'm trying to think of bringing an event together where we could come in as a community and celebrate this unique environment, and also provide children and families, teenagers, with a play-based learning event that's supported by and has the links to our unique geological resources. So all community members could be supported to take part in this. So I've put a few ideas down there, but of course this is open to the council exploring it. It's just beginning thoughts around it. But the foundations and expectations behind it would be that it would be done on inclusion, that all community members, regardless of their age or need, could be part of the event, low cost or free to families. It builds on play-based learning, and it has a pride in showcasing our local environment, and it's supportive of schools and student learning. So I suppose the basic idea was to hold it on the last Saturday of daylight savings, build it into a yearly event if we can, just like Spring Loaded and the Tulip Festival are. Use grants to employ a sand sculptor who may come in and build some of those things and support our families and children in making those sorts of things. Have that perhaps in a place like opposite Seabrook Golf Club, where he could build those sculptures and then have people walk through them as in sort of like an art installation. And also to that sand sculpture person would help families and children in small groups build those sorts of structures on another part or another place in Wynyard on the beach. And then, of course, it's going to be directed by tides and all those sorts of things. And then the final feature might be watching the tide come in and dissolve the sand sculptures, have a bonfire and food and wine vans and things like that. So I suppose just thinking that this event might be a great event for our children and our families, and if possible, council work or staff might be able to look into that and see if it's feasible to run that type of event.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Are there any speakers against this motion? Speakers for the motion? Councillor Courtney, you wish to speak to the motion?
Yeah, I think that this is absolutely brilliant, Councillor Raw. I think your educational background and obviously a great deal of compassion have gone into this, and a great deal of research has gone into what you've put forward in this motion. So I commend you not just for the way that you've put this forward, but for the idea itself. Happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Any further speakers? Councillor Roberts?
Likewise as Councillor Courtney, I just want to commend you, Councillor Raw, for this. This is a beautiful idea, and anything that anyone in the families and the kids and everyone can enjoy in our community for free or low cost is amazing. I just wondered if we could perhaps incorporate it in Council's bonfire night so that we can incorporate it into the pre-existing event and perhaps make it bigger.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. I think Councillor Raw did suggest that. Are there any further speakers, please? If there are no further speakers, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Reports of officers and committees, annual plan and budget estimates.
So moved.
Thank you. There is a Councillor Courtney has moved, but I was just about to say there is a recommendation before you. Thank you, Councillor Courtney. 4 parts with several critical subsections which must be considered. Could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Councillor Raw. Councillor Courtney, would you like to open the debate on this, please?
No debate. I think that we've been exceptionally lucky. We've had good general managers, we've had good finance officers, and we've had excellent engineers. We've been very lucky. So we've been able to offer our residents a rate increase of 3.75%, which I think is exceptional given the services that we deliver, the projects that we're delivering, and given in line with other councils and the rate increases that they're putting forward. So I commend the fact that our staff again have been very skilled and very intelligent, and we've been able to deliver a budget that allows us to give a very small rate increase to our community.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers for or against this motion? Councillor Hyland.
I'd just like to add a couple of points, if I could, Madam Chair. Well, once again, we've come up with a pretty good surplus, and I think that's about stand corrected, but 7 or 8 surpluses in a row, really good surplus. We've got a proposed capital works expenditure of about $19.8 million, which includes 7.2 million of infrastructure spending, 6 million in asset renewals, and 6.5 on upgrading our existing assets, which is very important. And of course our rate increase, which has been mentioned already, which is another low increase. And I think over the past 5 years we've had an average of 2.27 rate increase over 5 years. I think that's a tremendous effort. And again, it speaks very highly of our staff. So congratulations once again, and it's just year after year, it just seems a natural progression that we improve on the previous year, which we have continued to do. Congratulations to all.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. And I think that with this massive report that we have been asked to approve tonight, it demonstrates the accountability of everything that we do. It is absolutely out there. It tells our community exactly where we are at, and that is the job that we are elected to do. So I'm going to put the motion as there are no further speakers. I'm going to ask for a show of hands. Oh, Councillor Bramich, you wish to?
Just make one little comment, if I may. I think staff and councillors should be fairly proud of yourselves for a minimal rate increase of this size compared. I reckon we would be one of the lowest, if not the lowest in the state, and we continue with the same level of service. So I say well done to everybody. We put a lot of hours in doing it, but we got there. And I think the community overall will be quite happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Councillor Roberts.
I just actually want to piggyback on the back of Councillor Hyland, Councillor Bramich. There's 29 councils in Tasmania, 17 of which run at a loss, 12 of which break even, and we're one of half a dozen that continually show growth. Touching on what Councillor Hyland said, the council is expected to deliver an underlying surplus of $0.604 million in 23-24, so that's $604,000. Our council and our staff do an exceptional job. They are absolutely doing a job that is amongst the best in the state, so thank you very much to all of you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers, please? If there are no further speakers, I'm going to ask for a show of hands. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. Item 9.2, the Rates and Charges Policy Review, and the recommendation is that the Council adopt the revised Rates and Charges Policy as presented. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hyland, are you?
So moved, as
So
per
moved, okay.
recommendations.
A seconder, please.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Hyland, do you wish to open the debate?
Just that there's only one change, and that's clause 3.2.6, and that's in relation to the mining and quarrying in Savage River and Guildford. So, yep, happy to support it.
Thank you. Are there any further comments from the floor? Councillor Courtney?
I was actually just going to note, good on Councillor Roberts for actually bringing that to the council. I think that was a very good move for us to be able to make that change.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Councillor Roberts.
I just, again, haven't been here 6 months. I'd love to take credit for the continual growth, but it's not me. I want to credit the councillors that have been here a long time and the councillors we've had before us sitting here, because it's a team effort that goes through the generations. I just really want to make it, and really I want to credit Councillor Bramich for this too. He really champions looking out for the ratepayer, and he fights for them pretty hard, and I'd like to think that we all come together pretty amicably on this and really try to put the public first. So if you look at the 3.7% increase in comparison to, say, the interest rates right now, you'd see that we're trying to curve it for people and really make sure it's affordable to live in our region. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? No further speakers. I'm going to ask for a show of hands, please. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. 9.3, COVID-19 Economic Recovery Plan. The recommendation is that Council note the final update and report of the COVID-19 Economic Development Plan. Could I have a mover for this motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts moved.
Seconded.
Councillor Courtney seconded. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Look, I'll just, again, the administration of this council can come down basically to the words and the numbers, but the governance of our region really is about the people and the culture we create here. I really want to stress to everyone that this council and the staff at this council, the councillors of this council, really do want to push our economy, and they really want to grow our economy, and it's shown not just in this report but also the waterfront consultation, the Main Street consultation. And so I just want to encourage the public to actually have a look at these reports and actually see what's planned and actually see ways that we are working towards the future, a viable economic future for all of us, and actually it might answer some of the questions they do have for us from time to time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? Again, I suggest that this economic recovery plan demonstrates the accountability that we have towards our community to ensure that the livability of this area is maintained and sustained as best as possible during the COVID time. I ask for a show of hands again. Could you please raise your hands if you're in favour? Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself, carried unanimously. 9.4 is the Strategic Asset Management Plan. There is a recommendation before you for the Strategic Asset Management Plan 2023. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts, could I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Councillor Courtney is the seconder. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
We'll speak very quickly on it. Again, you make a very good point, Mayor Duniam. These plans, these strategies, every word, every number are in these reports, and these reports are publicly available. So I would stress that people actually look into these and have a look and see what the future of our region holds. In regards to the asset management plan, it says here, Council is responsible for the acquisition, operation, maintenance, renewal and disposal of an extensive range of physical assets with a replacement value in excess of $317 million. And so it goes to show how large a rural council we actually are, and that to strategically manage all these assets and utilise them appropriately is a very difficult job. And Daniel Summers, Jonathan Linden, these guys, Ollie Mayer, anyone that's involved in either strategic asset management or engineering infrastructure do an amazing job, and I cannot thank them enough. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Again, I emphasise that the openness of these documents that are available for public to look at does demonstrate that we are accountable for everything that we do. I'm going to put the motion and ask for a show of hands. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself, carried unanimously. 9.5, Urban Stormwater Infrastructure Asset Management Plan and Service Level Document Review. You have a recommendation before you, councillors. There are two documents to adopt. So could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts moved. Councillor Courtney seconded. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Just a bit of insight. I just really want to thank Daniel Summers, Jonathan Linden for actually talking us through this in workshop. As councillors, I feel I don't just speak for myself when I say that we as councillors, all of us, really do want to understand and be the best at what we are doing as we can. And yeah, I really think we are in incredibly intelligent and reliable hands. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Hyland.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, our stormwater is a very important part of our infrastructure, and it's only just recently that we've started to pick up on that, particularly in the Boat Harbour, I think in the Sisters Beach area. And Somerset, there's a little bit of work going on there, so we just got to jump on all that now. And in particular, I'd say Sisters Beach, where there was a couple of submissions in that planning thing in regard to where all the surface water and everything was going to go, but that was addressed quite adequately in the scheme. So yeah, we've just got to keep up with it.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. Are there any further speakers to this motion?
Can I close with this statement?
If you wish.
I'll just, again, I just really want to credit Councillor Highland and Councillor Bramage. Their experience in rural communities, their experience with the roads, the culverts and the flood mitigation works, stormwater, is invaluable to myself.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. If there are no further speakers, I'm going to put the motion and ask for the councillors to raise their hand. Those in favour, please raise your hands. Councillor Highland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson and Councillor Roberts and myself unanimously. 9.6 is the accessibility strategy. There is a recommendation there in 3 parts. The first one is to approve the release of the draft accessibility strategy, including an inclusion action plan for public consultation. Advertise for expressions of interest from community members to join a new accessibility strategy working group, and agree that the working group will review public feedback and then develop a recommended final draft of the accessibility strategy and inclusion action for adoption by council. Could I have a mover, please?
Yes, I'd like to move that.
Thank you, Councillor Roy.
Seconded.
Councillor Courtney has seconded that. Councillor Raw, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes. Fantastic staff have developed this strategy. It's a draft strategy, and it was prepared by looking at best practice in other councils, which is a really highly recommended way of working. The strategy is going to ask for community members to join a working group, which will come out soon, and people in our community will have access to being part of that group. And then that group will also review the feedback from the public to then adopt the strategy and make it final. And it'll be all about being refined to tune and meet our community specific needs. And then eventually they will move into ongoing support and implementation of the strategy. And a main focus will be working with the public to do the best we can to use resources to support certain aspects of life in our community. So yes, I'd really recommend that we vote on this in the positive.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? Councillor Roberts.
Sorry, Mayor Daniel. I just again want to point this out, that these things don't come about just instantly. There is a lot of consultation. The staff take their jobs very seriously, and with some things, the members of the public might not think that we're looking at them or working on them, but we are in fact looking at them and working on them. So I just want to credit the staff here for the progress they're showing in identifying areas where we can do better and bringing it straight to the table. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? Again, I emphasise that such a recommendation does show that we are engaging our community to its fullest extent, so that we get the best outcomes in terms of accessibility. So I too congratulate the staff for working so well on this particular strategy and making sure that we are doing the right thing by our communities. As there are no further speakers, I will ask councillors to raise their hands for those who are in favour of this motion. Councillor Highland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. 9.7 is the Heritage Register. There is a recommendation that the council proceed with the development of a local heritage register in accordance with the draft heritage register process and application form. Could I have a mover? Councillor Raw?
Yes, I'd move that, please.
And Councillor Johnson?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Raw, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Just very quickly, that it's the purpose of this is that it's a register, and it'll serve as an inventory of places and things that are important to our community, and that future citizens and visitors will enjoy. We just need to know though that if you're put on that register, or you own a property that is on that register, that no rules or regulations apply to the heritage register. It's an interest register.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Are there any further speakers to this motion?
Just to clarify that one, just Councillor Raw's saying is that those that will list themselves on our heritage register, the laws around Federation homes, etc., heritage buildings do not apply. This is more us and our ability to record places of historical significance to us. So, thanks.
Thank you for that clarification, Councillor Roberts. If there are no further speakers, I'll put the motion. Could I ask councillors to raise their hand if they're in favour of this motion? Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself carried unanimously. 9.8, Coopers Lane speed reduction request. Councillor Bramage.
Mayor, question.
Are you moving the motion? Or
no,
you
I'm going to ask a question first,
okay,
if I
yes,
may.
You may ask the question.
If I want to change the recommendation, have we got to let this go through, or can I do it now?
Mr. GM.
Have I got to debate this motion and then try and do it, or can I do it straight away?
If you wish to amend the motion, I think our meeting procedures say that someone needs to move it and second it, then you can move an amendment to that motion. So if you, for example, wish to change that figure to another figure, you would do that subsequent. Equally, if it's in line with the existing motion, you can move that straight up, but not something to the complete opposite or the contrary of what's presented.
Thank you.
I'll get the ball rolling by moving this then.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder, please?
Second it in the interest of debate.
Councillor Courtney, thank you. Councillor Roberts, would you like to open the debate, please?
Look, I want to open this for Councillor Bramage in a second. I actually, I believe it's important that we're looking at the speed limits outside of town. Obviously, it's a contentious issue for some people, some properties, residences, and I know that we are looking out for the public safety and the public's best interests and our rural communities. And in something like this, I really would like to defer to our more senior councillors, and I really do want to hear what Councillor Bramage has to say about this. Because I walk around town a lot, just in town, and the traffic is getting a lot busier. It's harder to find spaces. Our region is growing quite exponentially, and we will need to look at the speed limits for places such as Coopers Lane and other regional areas. I know we have looked at some and changed them, but I also am aware that it is to do with transport, the state government. So I'm just very interested in seeing what Councillor Bramage has to say.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Bramage, do you wish to add to this discussion, please?
Would you allow me to amend the motion now? I'd like to move that council write to the Commissioner and suggest that the speed limit be changed to 80 kilometres an hour. And if I get a second, I could probably go on a little.
I'll second that.
So we have an amended motion from Councillor Bramage, seconded by Councillor Roberts. Councillor Bramage, do you wish to open the debate about this particular item?
Yes, if I could debate things. I understand there that the documentation, the evidence is not there, where the Commissioner reckoned it warranted a speed change, and I probably don't disagree with him. But we changed the speed limit not very long ago on Ballast Pit Road. And I don't reckon the evidence was there either. There was no major accidents. So we had traffic counters down there. I think 85% of the traffic was doing well under 100. And the residents up there believe the traffic counters probably wasn't in the right place to get the accurate speed. But anyhow, that's not for me to say that. But after driving that road there, 80 kilometres an hour is plenty fast enough on that road. And I believe the Commissioner of Transport, I think that's what he's called, that'll do anyhow, has probably got to review all these country roads in Tasmania, not just here. So without going on and on too much about it, I'd just like councillors to support this, to see where we go with it, and let's try and get some sensible speeds on these roads now. And I certainly don't want to change the road so that road's that road, that road's that speed, that road's that speed. We've got to try and get a uniform approach to all these country roads, and I believe the speed limit is just too great on them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Councillor Johnson.
I'd like to fully support Councillor Bramage's motion. Reason being, out of sight, out of mind, and full agreement on that. We should have a radius of the area outside, and it should be governed at a certain speed limit once you're past a certain radius of that. But yeah, these roads are sort of darkened, no light. It gives anyone the option to go as fast as they like, and 100 speed limit is not on. 80, yeah, they'll think about it, but they'll still do that. But in saying that, yeah, I fully support you, Councillor Bramage.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Courtney.
I'd also like to throw my support behind Councillor Bramage's motion, because I agree with what Councillor Johnson has just said. A lot of people on a 100-kilometre road will go 5-10 kilometres over, and if we bring it back to 80, as the residents have requested, I think that's a lot safer. So I support Councillor Bramage's motion wholeheartedly.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Councillor Roberts.
I just I want to credit Councillor Bramage again on this. Our region is growing. It's obvious the developments that are going through, and our region's population is growing as well. Areas that might once have been considered out of town or not considered to be a part of town, well, we're actually joining in the middle. So it does make a lot of sense to start considering these communities to be more like the outskirts for us, and I am aware of where Cooper's Lane is. So I think I want to really put it out there that council is listening to our citizens, and if they ask us for something and we look at it that logically makes sense, that we really are open to that, in accordance with state government regulations. Sometimes they're not possible immediately, and we might require a bit of a push from us, and I agree wholeheartedly with Councillor Bramage that we should push back on this a little bit and say we want to keep our communities safe for the people that live in them.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Hyland.
Well, I'll have to support Councillor Bramage at this stage, and noting that the numbers road users were down on the second count, or on the counters. But the reasons, my reasons, I travel that road a lot. Now there are a lot of side accesses from residents, and some in a close proximity on probably the southern end of it, where the road is very windy. The access where it joins on the Seabrook Road is probably one of the worst accesses around, and if you're doing 100, I don't know how you can actually negotiate turning left or right at that end. And also when you come back this end, the road where it goes over the bridge and meets, Daniel, you might help me, the road that comes down off the left. That's a road, it's a gravel road. Rossgrange. No, that's the next one around, over Anderson's Road. You come up over that hill doing 100, and you're right on the intersection before you know it. It's not a real good safety aspect. So there are a lot of fors and a lot of against, and there was very much a near fatality there probably 8 or 9 months ago. Only the fact that the farmer had a couple of railway irons at his bridge crossing on the creek that saved this guy from drowning. Stopped him quite suddenly, and he was doing, well, in excess of 100, I'd suggest. So there's quite a, I don't know, I think they should have a look at it other than, you know, all the accesses other than just the amount of vehicles that use the road. It's my view.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. Any further speakers, please? Councillor Raw?
Yeah, just a clarification question then. It's stated in our notes and things who makes the decision, the Commissioner for Transport, and the Council has submitted in to have this happen, and then he's come back with his list of road characteristics that state why he is not going to do that. So what would be the reasons or the specifications around what would we put in that resubmission to him that would make him change his mind?
Yeah. Through you, Mayor, just to clarify, so the information provided in the report, it hasn't been sent to the Commissioner for Transport at this point in time. So the evidence in front of you is officer data and what we have recorded, if you like, as part of our investigation. So the decision tonight is whether or not to forward that to the Transport Commissioner, Commissioner for Transport, or otherwise. The motion that Councillor Bramich has put forward is recommending that we collate this data and forward that to the Transport Commissioner. I guess what you need to consider is whether or not that evidence then is strong enough to mount a case for that to warrant the Commissioner for Transport making that or granting that change, and that's what the process is. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. GM, and I do note the adjacent speed zones for Anderson's Road and Rossgrange Road. They're unsealed road limit of 80. So I think that there is an argument that we can build around that. Okay, so if there are no further speakers to this amendment, I put the amendment. Could I ask councillors to raise their hand? Councillor Highland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. That means it's not a motion. Do it again. Sorry? Yep. That means that the amendment is now the motion, and I'd like to open the debate. Councillor Roberts.
I just want to thank Councillor Bramich for this. Again, we want to deliver what the public wants. I'd say that we're all pretty much on board with that, and if it makes logical sense and it keeps our people safe, then that's what we'll want to do. Absolutely, that's what we'll want to do. And I just really, with the roads and abatements, fire abatements, slashing, anything, Gary's really a real hard pusher on these things, and I actually respect that a lot, Councillor Bramich, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Bramich.
I just got a question, if I may. I know I've harped about this to the GM. I've harped about on this about the speed limits, and the government wants to, for a better word, pull their finger out and try and get a uniform approach. There was talk of them doing something, wasn't there, in these country roads in the situations?
Yeah, through me, there was discussion both through the the government and as part of other industry bodies that were lobbying for, I guess, similar points to what you have, Councillor Bramich. I think at the time, maybe a couple of months ago, I indicated to try and find some further information as to where that review may be at, if indeed there is a review being undertaken. So we will endeavour to find out if anything is happening in that space.
Thank you. Is this something we need to take to the LGAT to let the bigger body handle this? It's going to be a statewide thing. It's not going to be just our little patch, I wouldn't think. Is it? I don't know. I'll follow your lead on this.
Through me, that's certainly an option available to council, but perhaps we'll find out first what's happening in that space, and then you can make an informed decision as to that, if that's an avenue you wish to pursue.
Thank you. I guess, speaking to the motion, I guess where I was coming from, we changed, or the Commissioner changed Ballas Pit Road, and I don't reckon there was too much data there. There was probably a little bit, no more than what's up here. So I thought, well, you know, come on, let's do one, let's do another one. And I guess a resident's up another road, come along next meeting, want the same, I'd bat on their behalf as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Are there any further speakers, please? Councillor Highland?
For that amendment?
Councillor Courtney, I think, was the seconder. Oh, it was you, was it?
No, Councillor Roberts moved and Councillor Courtney seconded. Yeah. Yes, so the amendment was Councillor Bramich and Councillor Roberts.
Okay, if there are no further speakers to this motion that we now have before us, I'm going to ask that you raise your hands if you are in support of this particular motion. Councillor Highland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously.
Thanks, councillors.
9.9, future use of Ballard Avenue Recreation Reserve Wynyard. There are...
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. There are two parts to this recommendation that have been moved by Councillor Courtney. Could I have a seconder, please?
Second.
Councillor Johnson. Councillor Courtney, would you like to open the debate, please?
Only to say that I think it's good that, from my understanding, is we do have alternate suggestions or options in regards to the dog park and the freedom camping. So, you know, I don't want the public to think that they're not going ahead, but we're looking at other options that are quite, you know, reasonably expected to be able to be fruitful. And that I think it's great that we're referring that area to our CAP committee to be able to look into what is, you know, a suitable use for that area. So thank you, Council, very much for that.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, as I say, it's just been a thorough report. E.g., this parcel of land that they've looked at and looked into regarding, I'll say, special trees that should be left alone, and even this parcel of land being close to a school, and for what they want to put on there, with the freedom campers, and that I think is a great outcome. And other councillors have been, I think the wheels are in process by looking at a different option, and I think that's a pretty close outcome in the near future. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Roberts.
Look, I just I want to credit Councillor Courtney for her work with the CAP committee. We have so many talented, intelligent, qualified people living in our municipal region, and they actually have plenty to offer our region. And by the formation of this CAP committee, it's allowed so many very valuable stakeholders of our community to have a say. I just really want to credit Council, Councillor Courtney, the members of that committee, because this is proof of these committees in action working, and also proof of what you were talking about, Mayor Dunham, that people, members of our community, can literally join these committees and work with our councillors hand in hand and actually debate and encourage ideas and actually work together to come to share knowledge and come to an amicable solution. And I really think that the residents of Ballard Avenue, the residents of the western part of town, will really appreciate that this is happening, and I would encourage everyone to pretty much have your say to your local council about regions and areas in our municipal region that you'd like to see preserved for environmental purposes. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I will put the motion. I ask for you to raise your hands if you're in favour of this motion. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. 9.10 is the Quarterly Information Report, Organisational Performance. Could I have a mover for this motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney has moved. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Roberts?
Seconded.
Councillor Courtney, do you wish to open the debate about this motion?
Not so much a debate, but a question through you for our General Manager, if I could.
Yes.
Yep. I note that when I'm looking at the employee situation, we had 4 employees in, 4 employees out, and it still looks like we've got about 11 vacancies. Is that correct?
Through you, Mayor, I'm not sure which page you're referring to.
It's the first time I didn't write the page number down.
Oh, that's okay. But the one done. Yes. I don't know the exact figures, Councillor Courtney, but certainly what I can say is that recruitment is becoming increasingly difficult. So despite, what I would consider to be good working conditions, good reputation and a good direction for council, attracting people to work in local government at the moment is challenging for a variety of reasons. And we have certainly had some real difficulty in filling some of those roles. So certainly as we sit here today, those positions that are indicated on page 119, some of them I can say have been filled. In some cases, we might have filled with part-time rather than full-time, or we've looked at different options, and some of them certainly remain vacant. But we are finding it certainly increasingly difficult to fill our roles at the moment.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, you can.
I understand it must be so difficult at the moment, given the insecurity in local government, to attract staff, because not knowing where it's going to head obviously makes it hard for people to take a job that they don't know is going to be there in maybe 2 or 3 years. So I'm going to ask a really dumb question. When we go for jobs at a state government level, a lot of people look at www.jobs.tas.gov.au. We're a government department. Is there a reason that local councils don't use that website to advertise local government jobs? Would that expand the selection of people that would be able to apply for those jobs? Because I know there's a lot of people trying to get out of the health system, and I acknowledge that we have admin jobs, and I was dumbfounded to see that we had 2 admin roles that weren't being filled at the moment, and I thought, I don't know what the rules are. Are we able to look at putting some of our jobs on the .tas.gov.au website so local government and state government can both look in the same place?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Look, I'm not sure of the specifics of that particular website, but and happy to look into it. But what I can say is that we are certainly trying to explore all options when it comes to recruitment. I think the days of the traditional ad in the newspaper are over, and certainly the majority of our advertising is now online and through a variety of means. Typically, we try and, target our recruitment or our advertising depending on the job, so areas of interest, industry bodies, those sorts of things. That might be through universities, etc. But we will explore all options, and I'm happy to touch base with you to see if that the one that you raise is an option for us. But we are trying to broaden the net, in relation to our recruitment practices. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney and Mr. GM. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Roberts.
Of course, Mayor Dunniam. Look, I was actually going to talk about the same thing as Councillor Courtney. That's why I knew the page number. Look, I just really want to say, as this is live streamed, of the jobs available, we have some amazing jobs available with this organisation. Technical officer, buildings and facilities, marketing communications officer, administration officer, casual children's services educator, after school hours care educator, and a Parks and Reserves employee for our Turf Wicket Oval curator at our new sports precinct. I cannot stress enough to the public, I cannot cry out more and please begging people, please come be a part of the work we're doing here. As you can see, I will state it, that we are one of the best run councils in Tasmania, if not this whole country. And we continue to progress and we continue to achieve, and there's nothing we would like more than for locals who live in this region to come and work with us on it. So if anyone watching this who has any doubts, don't have any doubts, just get your resumes in and see how we go.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts, for your accolade about how amazing our council is. Thank you. Are there any further speakers to this motion? No further speakers. I'm going to put the motion and I ask that you raise your hands if you are in favour of supporting this motion. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. 9.11 Bioenergy Forum. There is a recommendation that Council note the scheduling of a Council-initiated Bioenergy Forum in July 2023. Could I have a mover, please?
Moved.
Councillor Courtney,
So seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to open a discussion or debate on this particular motion?
No, I have nothing to debate on this motion.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Roberts.
Just again to state that, we are looking ahead and we are, of all the serious issues that you'll think of that are in the headlines in this state right now, and how they affect local communities, we are very much looking at those things, and the way that council operates is it can be a little bit of time before people realise that we have been looking at those things, but I assure you that we have and that we will be there. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? If not, I'm going to put the motion, ask you to raise your hands if you are in support of this motion. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. 9.12 Policy Review, Privacy Policy and Guidelines. The recommendation that the Council adopt the revised privacy policy and the privacy guidelines as presented. Councillor Hyland.
Moved as per the recommendation.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Councillor Johnson. Councillor Hyland, do you wish to speak to this motion?
No, thank you. No, nothing. No debate.
Thank you. Are there any speakers to this motion? If not, I'm going to put the motion. Please raise your hands if you support the motion. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself against. So we have a division. Councillor Courtney against, but the motion has passed. Carried. 9.13 is an appointment of an acting general manager. The recommendation there is that the council, in accordance with section 61B of the Local Government Act 1993, appoint the Director of Infrastructure and Development Services, Mr. Daniel Summers, to be acting general manager when the current general manager is on leave or absent. Could I have
So moved.
Councillor Courtney, could I have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Councillor
Me.
Bramich, Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this motion?
I do, and I'd like to speak on this motion because I'm not only a current councillor, but I'm an ex-employee. I cannot commend the professionalism and the ability of Mr. Summers enough. He has been pragmatic, intelligent, organised, well-reasoned, respectful. There's not one thing in my time as an employee or as a councillor that I could say that I have disagreed with Daniel on that we haven't been able to speak through. I've worked with him as a councillor on committees, including the current ISEP committee, and I cannot tell you how professional and how just wonderful a person is for Daniel is to work with, and I think this is an excellent recommendation from the council that Daniel, in the absence of Shane, and Shane, please don't take this in any detract. I'm very, very happy to have you as a general manager, very happy. But in lieu of you not being here, I'm exceptionally happy that Daniel is your backup. So very happy to support this motion, very happy.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Wonderful words for our Director of Infrastructure and Development Services. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Roberts.
I also actually used to work here, and I also have absolutely nothing but praise for Daniel Summers. He's absolutely exceptional in his role, and we are very, very, very fortunate as a council to have local people who are as knowledgeable and educated and qualified as Daniel is to come and work here. So we're in really, really good hands with General Manager Shane Crawford, and to know that we have adequate cover for him is absolutely smart, sound strategy. So thanks, Daniel, and thanks, Shane, and all the best.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Bramage?
Don't know what to say now. I'll write you a letter, Daniel.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage, for the humour. We enjoyed what you just said. Councillor Hyland?
No, good choice. Very easy going, good to get on with. You usually get a straight answer when you ask a straight question. So,
thank you, Councillor Hyland. Councillor Johnson?
I'd like to back that up. Being a councillor of, say, 6 months now, and have known Mr. Summers away from the council, and have never seen him in the role before I got here, and have the utmost respect of his knowledge and skill set that he has and carries throughout. It's just second to none. So I congratulate you and congratulate everyone on the decision that they have made. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Are there any further speakers to this motion? I really don't know how to respond to that one, Councillor Bramage, but thank you, Councillor Roberts. I think that we'll leave that in the General Manager's hands. I'm going to ask for those that support this motion to raise their hands, please. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Summers. 9.14 Council issued delegations. General Manager, Director, Infrastructure and Development Services, Manager of Development and Regulatory Services, Development Services Coordinator and Town Planners. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, in 3 parts. Could I have a mover for this particular motion? Councillor Hyland.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts has seconded that motion. Councillor Hyland, would you like to open the discussion, please?
Oh, there's not much to say. It's just general delegations, and this is the reason why the place runs so smoothly, that we're not, councillors are not interjecting to fix up small items. They know what they're doing. Anything in relation that needs to come back to council, it certainly hits the table pretty quick, and everyone has a say, helps them out, and yeah, it just makes the place run very smoothly.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further speakers, please? Councillor Roberts.
I just want to note there's about 27 different delegations on this list, so it goes to show the amount of policy and legislation that we do follow here, and that we do everything, as you know, everything I've seen is above board. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. If there are no further speakers, I'm going to put the motion and ask for a show of hands. All those in favour, we have Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. 9.15 is the award of contract 800 Sporting Precinct, Oval 3, design and construction of oval renovation, training lights, subsurface drainage, irrigation and ancillary works. There is a recommendation before you. Councillor Johnson, you...
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson.
Second.
Councillor Hyland. Thank you. Councillor Johnson, do you wish to open the discussion, please?
I'd just like to say, well, one, a big thank you, and the work that's gone on prior Dylan, also Councillor Roberts and myself, before we joined the committee, the work that went on prior that and to get to where they are now, I think will be the envy of most communities throughout the state on what they have achieved in, we'll say, some people might say it's a long time, but I think it's a short time. And when we see this up and running, a lot of people are going to, it's going to be the wow factor for our little community. Yeah, so I'd like to support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Roberts.
Just piggybacking on what Councillor Johnston's saying, there is the sports precinct portfolio belongs to myself and Councillor Johnston, and as he's just said, we were very impressed by the preparation that's gone into this and the work that's gone into this. We are very fortunate to have come along at such a great time in our region's history and see some of these projects come to fruition, and to see these tenders going out and these contracts awarded. It just shows the amount of progress that we're making. I've seen the plans of these. I cannot recommend enough for people to go online onto our website and have a look at our sports precinct master plan on there, and it's a really exceptional project, and I agree with Councillor Johnston completely that we, as we should be, the envy of others. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? As there are no further speakers, I'm going to ask for a show of hands for this item. For those in favour, Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself, carried unanimously. 9.16 is award of contract 802, provision of bitumen surfacing services, and I ask for a mover. Councillor Bramage.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Councillor Hyland seconded. Do you wish to speak to this particular motion, Councillor Bramage?
Just very briefly, I noticed how much crumb seal are we going to use, or crumb rubber? Do you know, Daniel, roughly?
Through you, Mayor, look, the recommendation is to have crumb rubber in our reseal program as per the recommended tender's submission. So roadways have given some statistics there. If it's awarded as recommended, it'll be the equivalent of 2,421 car tyres taken out of landfill or other disposal to be reused in our road resealing program. So 14.5 tonnes of crumb rubber would be reused as part of road sealing.
Yeah, well, that's good. I noticed there's a crumb rubber plant opened up in Launceston last week, I think it was. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with what's going on.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Are there any further speakers, please? Councillor Courtney.
Just want to confirm also that using the crumbed rubber, it's my understanding that for road safety it drains a lot better. Is that correct?
For you, yeah, that's correct. Look, the major, I guess, improvement to the seal is it gives it better ability to absorb movement and therefore prevent or prolong cracking occurring, which allows the water in and degrades the pavement. So it improves that characteristic.
Thank
you, Mr. Summers. Are there any further speakers to this motion?
I've got
Councillor
a question, if I may.
Yes, you do.
To the Director of Engineering, what would it work out to, dear, if we requested more rubber in our seal? Would that work out to, dear, as soon as probably the plant's in Launceston?
Through you, Mayor, look, I guess each time, or the way we currently procure road resealing is through an annual tender. In this case, the recommended tender is actually an alternate to add more rubber than or more crumbed rubber additive seal than we'd specified. In this case, it would mean an additional 15,000 on the alternative, only a few sites, but based on the assessment done by officers and the relatively or materially small increase to cost to the large reseal program, we think that the benefits in improved strain alleviating or prevention of cracks are worth it, let alone the environmental benefits on top of that. So.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I'll put the motion and ask for a show of hands. For those in favour, Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. The motion is carried unanimously. 9.17, award of contract 805, provision of grave digging services. There is a recommendation before you. Could I have a mover for this motion?
Yeah, I'd like to move as the recommendation, thanks.
Could I have a second?
I'll second that.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Bramage, do you wish to speak to this?
No, look, the contractor that's involved is proven to be able to do it, so, and obviously staff's quite happy, so I'm happy.
Thank you. Any further comments?
I just want to follow up with Gary. Yeah, obviously Smith's Mini Excavator and Tip Truck I do an amazing job. So thankfully it's a local business that we can support likewise. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? If not, I'm going to ask for a show of hands for those who support the motion. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. Whoops, I think I might have missed one. 9.18, award of contract, bridge replacements 806 Kinches Road and 807 Mount Hicks Road. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. There are two parts, obviously, for two contracts. So could I have a mover?
So move.
Councillor Roberts, seconder.
Second.
Councillor Hyland, thank you. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Just that our council's doing its job. The tender submitted by Bridge Pro Engineering, awarding the two bridges jointly. Bridge Pro have offered a $10,000 discount to council. So I just really want to credit council for their ingenuity and finding ways to save the ratepayer a few dollars and get some bang for their buck. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts, for that positive comment. Councillor Bramage.
Yeah, just briefly, by bringing these two bridges together, I think we might save $10,000 odd bucks, which is better off in our pocket than someone else's. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Are there any further speakers? Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. 9.19, financial report for the period ended the 31st of May 2023. Could I have a mover for this motion?
I'll move that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Could I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts is seconder. Councillor Raw, do you wish to open any discussion with this item?
No, just that the document is extensive, understandable, and thank you for such a comprehensive report.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Any further speakers to this motion? If not, I'm going to put the motion, and all those in favour, please raise your hands. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. 9.20, Senior Management Report. There's a recommendation before you, councillors. There are two parts to this motion. To note the monthly Senior Management Report, and the other one is to rescind the following policies. Could I have a mover, please?
Yes, I'll move that, please.
Thank you, Councillor Raw.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts has seconded the motion. Councillor Raw, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you. I think that's fine, as written.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers, or Councillor Roberts?
Look, these reports are very, very extensive, so I would encourage any member of the public that wonders what council's up to grab a copy of our agenda and have a look. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. If there are no further speakers, I will put the motion. Please raise your hands if you are in favour of this motion. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson and Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. 9.21 minutes of other bodies. 9.21.1 minutes from the Waratah Community Board held on the 5th of May in 2023. There is a recommendation that we receive the notes of the Waratah Community Board meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Bramage, could I have a seconder, please?
Second.
I'm sorry, I missed Councillor
second that.
Johnson. Thank you. Is there any discussion around what is presented for this motion, please? No comments? Councillor Roberts?
Of course there is, Mayor Duniam. I just really want to credit the Waratah Community Board, to be honest. They do some amazing work down there, and also credit Councillor Hyland for his ongoing work in Waratah. He does an amazing job.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. If there are no further speakers, I'll put the motion. Please raise your hands. If you're in favour of this motion, Councillor Hyland, are you in favour of the motion? Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, are you? Thank you. Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. 9.21.2 minutes of other bodies. Sustainability and Environmental Advisory Panel held on the 16th of May. There is a recommendation there with two parts. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney, a seconder.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to open the discussion?
I was going to say, hopefully there's no debate.
No.
No, but I would like to take the opportunity. I was supposed to be at a meeting for the CAP committee the night after our last council meeting, and I was mortified and felt physically ill when I realised that I had missed that meeting. I had a hard time after Monday night, and I was reconsidering whether I wanted to still be a councillor on the Tuesday, and unfortunately I missed the meeting, and I would like to publicly apologise to the people of the CAP committee because they do such an amazing job, and I would like to offer my apologies to yourself, Mr Summers, and to Ms Hicks, because it was inappropriate for me to not turn up to that meeting, and I'm very, very sorry that I didn't make it. Has come out of it, the recommendations that have been brought forward by the CAP committee, once again, are absolutely outstanding. So thank you very much for carrying that meeting for me, Mr Summers.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney, and I'm sure that the CAP committee are pleased that you are still a member and can make that contribution. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Roberts.
I just want to point out, and that is absolutely showing integrity there, Councillor Courtney. I just want to credit you actually for the work you've done with this committee, and the recommendations they have are actually very logical, very intelligent. You can see the level of intellect that's a part of that committee, and I just really want to credit everyone involved, including Daniel Summers and Dana Hicks.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers for this motion? If not, please raise your hands if you're in favour of this motion. Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously. Item 10, matters proposed for consideration in the closed meeting. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that the council resolves by an absolute majority that the matters listed below be considered in the closed meeting. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney.
I'll second it.
Councillor Roberts, seconded. I'm going to put the motion. Could you please raise your hands if you're in favour of this motion? Councillor Hyland, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Raw, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Roberts and myself. Carried unanimously, and the open meeting was closed at 8:09. Yep, sorry? Yep, thank you.